Hello, everyone. So let's keep going. In this video, we're going to discuss a lot of verbal questions. So we will get into sentence equivalence, text completion, and reading comprehension, just a few of each. You can click on the link to follow along, the link in the description, but let's jump into it. So we're going to start off with sentence equivalence, which is likely the easiest type of problem in the GRE, to be honest, or a verbal problem at least. There are 6 answers, and you just have to choose 2 of them. There's only one blank in a sentence, and you have to choose what 2 words fill in this blank best. So like what makes the most sense in this sentence? The 2 words are very often synonyms to each other, by the way. So if you can group the synonyms, it's going to help you a lot because instead of randomly choosing words, you can just choose synonyms, pairs, and decide from the pairs what you should pick. So just like all verbal or all sentence equivalence and text completion problems, we're going to use the filler word strategy where you read the sentence and you pick a filler word from your imagination. What would make the most sense here? And only then do you compare your filler word to the possible answers. Okay, so let's try this. It says, although it does contain some pioneering ideas, one would hardly characterize the work as blank. So although is here, although it contains pioneering ideas, so whatever is going to be next is kind of the opposite because it says although on the front. We would hardly believe or characterize the work to be, and then if you want to say that you would characterize the work as opposite of before, then you would have to say we would hardly characterize it as what you say before, because hardly is saying like we wouldn't, basically. So it's essentially saying, although it has pioneering ideas, we wouldn't say, we want to characterize it as a pioneering work, I guess. So I would just put pioneering as a filler word. Oftentimes, you can use the filler word, or you can use a word they give you as your filler word. As long as it's synonymous to that, then it's fine. You don't have to be imaginative. You don't have to be, you don't have to be original or innovative. So let's compare pioneering to our words here. What 2 words are synonymous to pioneering? Definitely not orthodox. Orthodox is the opposite. It means like following kind of strict rules, but also following what's the norm. Eccentric can be, you might try to trick yourself into believing it's similar to pioneering, but it is not an exact synonym. It doesn't mean the same thing. Eccentric just means like uncommon. To be original would be to be pioneering. If you give an original thought, it's like a new thought, right? Trifling is incorrect. Conventional is incorrect. Conventional is a synonym, a false synonym to orthodox, or a false pair with orthodox. And then, of course, innovative is our next word that is synonymous to original. So there you go, original and innovative. Let's keep going. It was her view that the country's problems had been blank by foreign technocrats. All right, foreign technocrats did something to our problems. So that to ask for such assistance again would be counterproductive. So it would be a bad idea to ask for assistance yet again. So they probably did something, what, positive or negative? Right, they definitely were a bad thing for us. So maybe I would put the country's problems have been something negative here, maybe made worse by foreign technocrats or something like that, made worse. So we have ameliorate, ascertained, diagnosed, exacerbated, overlooked, or worsened. Well, what pairs do you see? Ameliorate, by the way, means to help something. So we have an exact pair for our filler word. We said make worse. Well, exacerbated and worsened. Those are exact synonyms. And they match our word. So that's sentence equivalence for you. Now let's get a little bit more difficult. With text completion, you don't have the luxury of kind of grouping synonyms. They just have any word that you have to fill in. And it's just one word that goes into the blank. We'll start off with the single blank, one word that goes in. So you have 5 words to choose from, and you have one blank here. In parts of the Arctic, the land grades into the landfast ice so blank, grades as a verb, that you can walk off the coast and not know you are over the hidden ice or hidden sea, I mean. So we're on ice, but we don't know we're over the sea. So grades is almost like shifts or changes. Basically, you're walking on land and it changes, and basically like you're walking over water on ice. And the change happens so what? That you don't realize you are on the sea. How would that change be described if you're doing something and you don't realize it? Okay, let's see what you think about what you picked and compare it to the filler words. Remember, you only have to pick one. There's only one correct answer. Imperceptibly is correct. You're walking on land and you do not perceive that you are over the ocean. The land turns into landfast ice so imperceptibly. So I really can't think of another word that's as good as imperceptibly, but and that's another point I want to make is sometimes you can't think of a filler word, and it might be best to just look at the answers, or even to think of a filler few words, like a few words that just make sense in the blank together that you can walk off the coast. So there you go, imperceptibly, because you are over water without knowing it. Irregularly kind of makes sense. You can think like, well, the land is shifting in a way that's like so random that you don't realize where you are. But that is not, it's not the best connotation here. This just works perfectly. Yeah. If you want, you can read this description. You can pause the video here, but I'm going to move on. Okay, now we have 2 blanks. Vain and prone to violence, Caravaggio could not handle success. The more his blank as an artist increased, the more blank his life became. So notice how I read the whole thing before I was thinking of filler words or I was looking at the answers. That's a good strategy because oftentimes this first blank here it's not a good idea to guess it until you've read the whole thing. In this case, that's not true though. In this case, it says, well, all of our evidence goes in the front. And then what comes after is our words that we have to choose. So, but the evidence for it all is in the front. So he says that this person is vain and prone to violence. Okay. And they could not handle success. So the more his blank as an artist increased, what's a good filler word here? Maybe I would just say success. The more his success increased, the more blank his life became. Again, I would say something like violent, maybe something negative. Well, eminence is synonymous to like being popular because of your success or prominent. Notoriety has a negative connotation. Of course, the sentence does go negatively after, but that's about something else. That's about his violence, not necessarily about his artistic abilities. So the more his eminence as an artist increased, the more blank his life became, something negative. That's right. Tumultuous. Tumultuous is like chaotic, and it's definitely a negative word. Okay. Last one, we have a 3 blank now. And again, it's a good idea to read the whole thing. So I'll let you read it now on your own. Pause the video and think of your filler words. Okay. I would say probably the 3rd blank might be the easiest one to pick first, because we have a kind of a list of negative things. So he emphasizes the enormous gaps in knowledge, the sparseness of our observation, and the blank. So probably another negative thing. And only I is a negative point for blank 3. Superficiality of their theories, of our theories. Okay. You can't really think of the first blank without reading the rest after. It says, it is refreshing to read a book about our planet by an author who does not allow facts to be blank by politics. I mean, you could imagine what the answer would be, but let's keep going. Well aware of political disputes about the effects of human activities on climate and biodiversity. So we are already saying that there are disputes. Okay. The author does not permit them to blank his comprehension. So these are actually very similar, these two answers. So basically, what do you think? The author does not allow politics to what his comprehension, or he doesn't allow facts to what, to be what by politics. Both of these words would what would make most sense for both of these would be overshadowed for the first and to obscure for the second. By the way, I was shocked. This is a very partial topic, or to be in the GRE, but here it is. All right. Now let's do some reading comprehension. We have 3 questions. And by the way, this covers the 3 questions types you will see in reading comprehension problems. One where one answer could be correct, or one answer is correct, one where multiple answers could be correct, and the last one where you have to choose a sentence in the text that would answer your question. So I'll let you read it now. Pause the video and read. Okay. The passage addresses which of the following issues related to Glass's use of popular elements in his classical composition. So which issue is addressed? Read through these. Try to find the exact proof for your answer. A lot of times in the GRE, this is an exam. There has to be true proof for an answer that you could pick out, that you could almost defend in court if you had to. There can't be anything ambiguous. So try to find the proof for your answer. So the correct answer here is E. Whether it has caused certain of Glass's works to be derivative in quality. So derivative means whether it's caused it to be like copying or like too close to something else. And they do directly address this in this sentence. Where is it? There it is. Glasses are glass-based two symphonies on music from Bowie and Brian Eno, but the symphony's sound is distinctly his, so they are addressing the issue that it might be perceived as derivative. There you are. So that's the exact evidence for it. All right, good job. Let's keep going. Try to answer this. What possible answers could be correct? Remember, more than one could be right. One might just be right, but more than one could be right. The passage suggests that Glass's work displays which of the following qualities? A return to the use of popular music in classical composition. So let's look for that first. Let's find the evidence for it. Well, it's right in the beginning, reviving the practice of using popular music in composition. Blah, 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 blah. Yes, the composer Glass embraced the ethos of popular music. Yeah. There we are. An attempt to elevate rock music to an artistic status more closely approximating that of classical music. And elevate rock music to an artistic status. Well, we have exact opposite evidence here. It says his music is not a version of popular music packaged to attract. No, that's not it. Sorry. But it's an attempt to elevate rock music to artistic status. No, that's it. Yeah, it's not that. It's not a version of popular music packaged to attract classical listeners. It's not basically trying to elevate rock music to classical status. And it says here, it's high art for listeners steeped in rock rather than the classics. And then the last point, a long-standing tendency to incorporate elements from two apparently disparate, meaning different musical styles. The passage suggests that his work displays which of the following qualities? Definitely this. The one part you might argue is long-standing. You're like, how is there proof that it's long-standing? Well, it does say here, where is it? It had been in hibernation during the 1960s. So it existed before this approach of putting these two types of music together. Okay. So A and C are right. Now let's do 3. Select the sentence that distinguishes two ways of integrating rock and classical music. What sentence distinguishes or kind of describes the two different ways of integrating, putting rock music and classical music together? It is the final sentence. The first half is the first way. It is not a version of here's the first way, popular music packaged to attract classical listeners. And the second way you could think would be it's for high artists steeped in rock rather than the classics. So it's kind of two ways to package it. For high artists or for rock listeners. Or sorry, I'm sorry. For classical listeners or for people steeped in rock. Yeah. And there you go. That is the last sentence. Yeah. Okay, so those, as you can see, it's not as straightforward, especially the reading comprehension. I would say text completion and sentence equivalence are pretty simple, or the answers you can get to, you can kind of tell yourself why the answer is correct. But with reading comprehension, it does take a little bit of investigation and trying to find the exact proof for an answer, because you should not go, or you should not choose an answer based on a feeling. You should always go back and try to find the exact proof. Okay. All right. So thank you for watching. If you want to help me out, just click the subscribe button. If you need more help, I'm going to post a few more series in the near future. And if you want, you can check out my website and book a session with me there for tutoring. And I will see you all next time.